The luck of the draw, Dennis, it's obviously something that everybody in life is familiar with, that statement, particularly pertinent in horse racing. How does it come about that a field of 40 or 50 or 60 horses that are nominated for an event eventually get allocated their number?
All right, we'll start with the technical aspects first. The SA horse racing system uses a random number generator which generates the draws randomly. This particular random number generator is called a Mersenne twister, and it's used in the majority of casinos around the world. Again, on the technical side, we had it tested, and I will come to the procedure shortly, but let me go through the technical side. When we had it tested, we had a company called GLI, Gaming Labs International, come in and take 8 million sample draws from the system, and they sent it to the USA for testing. And after that, once they were happy that everything was correct, they sent us a certificate and the report. Once that happened, we locked down the software so it could not be changed again. So that's from a technical aspect. From the draw procedure, when the horses are nominated by the trainers or whoever, they get entered into the system at the Racing Bureau. We do not use names of the horses. We actually use the NHA internal ID number. Every horse, when it is microchipped by Honest Report and Professor Guthrie, a number is allocated to that horse. We use those numbers when we refer to horses in the system. So when the Bureau captures them, we capture that horse into the system, keeping all the numbers in a table. Once the process in the Bureau is complete, where the handicapper is happy with the weight and things like that, the system is now available for the draw process to happen. One of the staff members in the Racing Bureau will go on the computer system and they'll just press a button called draw. The system will then allocate draws to that field. And the way that works is that the system actually will generate a number between 1 and about 4 billion. Once it's allocated a number to every horse in that field, it will actually compress that draw down to from 1 to the maximum number of nominations in that race. From there, what I have to say is once they've done a draw once, the system doesn't allow them to redraw. They can't go back, they can't do anything. It's locked down. The only thing they can do from that point onwards is do an insert draw. For example, if there's a horse left out or if there's supplementary nominations, we allow an insert draw. Now, insert draw, again, they will actually go to the system and press a button, and it will automatically do a draw for those 2 horses and then slot them in and move the rest out.
Or if they drew on the outside, they could go on the outside. They won't be slotted in necessarily.
Yes.
Because they might be 4 billion. They might be higher than any of the other ones.
That's correct. They will either be slotted in or they could be right at the end. It doesn't make it. It's totally random. And that's really what it comes down to.
Okay, because on the ground, the first thing that I'm being told by various trainers, and there are obviously some trainers that are more dramatic than others. It's just life. And they'll tell me that once their horse has got a bad draw, he always gets a bad draw, which obviously I'm here to find out. Now, let me give you a hypothesis. Let me give you a theory. Just say, for example, a horse draws 2 billion out of the 4 billion. It's a staggering figure that the man in the street can't even comprehend. That figure, outside of 20 or whatever the final field number is, will give the horse a position out of those 40 horses or out of those 20 horses. Let's say the field's 16. It'll give it a number in 16.
Yeah.
Is it going to in any way remember that number, or is it completely random every single time that number is drawn?
No, it's completely random every time they press the button, the draw button. It starts again. It doesn't know anything other than those 20 or 16 horses that it's drawing for this time. It has no memory or anything like it. It never uses a horse name, trainer name, or anything of that kind when it looks at the draws. So every time it's a brand new draw, and the random number generator will be called every time, and it's got no correlation to what happened before.
Okay, let me just check something. I just want to make sure that... Okay. Now here's an analogy. In the old days, and I think still in lots of casinos, you get the roulette wheel that goes round and round and round. And there's energy from the people that are playing. There's an interaction with the table and croupier and all the rest of it. But you get some sickos, and I have to use the word, that will play on a computer where they don't even see the ball spinning. It's just a randomly generated number. Is this the same kind of analogy that was prevalent before computers took over the draw of horse racing positions for horses? In other words, before the computer took over, how was the draw done?
Before the computer, I think it was done manually, where they drew some sort of token out of a bag.
Balls, maybe every horse had a ball, and it goes in like in a lottery type of thing.
Look, I'm not quite sure about that, so you may need to edit that out. I'm not sure about how they actually, but I know that it was a manual process. Definitely.
So this process has been implemented for how long?
This process has been around since we took over the horse racing system in about 2002.
Okay, and what interaction do you have with trainers per se who may have a gripe?
Basically, first thing, if they have a gripe, we'll go in and we'll analyze their draws. We have got a tool that actually analyzes it, and we will actually have a look at it and see if they have got a gripe. In general, the random number generator seems to be doing a very good job, because generally if you look at a period of a year, it is virtually perfect.
Yeah, for example, a horse like Africa Burn, I think during the KwaZulu-Natal winter season he drew very well every single time. I think he may have got pole position or one off the paint. And a filly like Carry On Alice always got drawn in Morgan Chetty's office at Greyville. So it was a situation where two high-profile horses had completely diametrically opposed luck, and that is just the luck of the draw. Is that what you would present as the case?
Yeah, that's correct. It's just the luck of the draw. It's unfortunate, but that is it's just the luck of the draw. And I'd like to stress that we've spent a lot of time on the random number generator, and it's generally random. So, and again, there is no the draw process is not connected to a name or anything like that.
So there is absolutely no way that any human being can interfere by attaching a specific figure or factor to a horse's name that will give it a bad draw or a good draw.
Not at all.
Auditing?
Auditing, as I said, we had GLI come in and do the test and lock it down. We have had one of the local auditors also come in and verify the process. We will do it from time to time, get the auditors back in to verify the process.
Okay, so when you say lock it down, does that mean that the actual computer software is completely and utterly beyond the reach of any wizard or anybody who thinks that he can interfere with it?
Yes, it is. It's locked down totally. We actually take what we call a sort of a image of that, so we can check and see if it hasn't been changed.
Okay, so I'd just like to go back, because it's actually very simple what you've explained. I'd like to go back to Mr. X, who believes that his horses are being unfairly drawn. Can you give him a printout of all his horses and where they've drawn in the average size field, or one specific horse, or anything that he wants?
We can give him anything they like. We've got the draw analyzer, and it'll actually analyse all the draws over, doesn't matter what venue, any period as well. In general, when we analyse something, we analyse it, we don't cut it up into small bits. We analyse every draw for a year and come out with a figure and see if it's fair or not.
Well, as I've been sitting here, it's occurred to me that there might be a very positive spin, if you'll pardon the pun, on this whole thing, because punters around the world, particularly the discerning punters that are prevalent in Hong Kong and Singapore and Japan, are desperate for information. If you could have in the computer form, or whatever form guide is available to the general public, or website, where a guy can say, listen, this horse Futura, he's run 12 times in his life, this has been his average draw. Is that figure readily available?
It is readily available, yes.
Is it something that you would consider putting into the book, to say a horse has had an average draw of 10, all of a sudden he draws 1 and he's a horse with pace? People could factor that into the probability of the horse winning.
I'm sure we could do that without any problem.